So I was just saying that we have today the a different question that we're going to tackle, because it's a husband who wrote in about asking about his wife and what can he do. So we're going to unpack that. And I'm glad you're joining me. So how have you been? How's your day? How's your weekend? And has that been?
It's been good today. So it's a little bit of a tired day to me. I don't know what it is, but
Hmm.
I feel very tired today. Otherwise, I'm good.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, we'll make sure it don't last too long. I know you don't have no
Oh, it's
problem with
okay.
that.
We'll
Yeah, I know
continue.
you'll find energy once we start talking here. And I just say, for those who are viewing, if they're watching, those who are watching live, we just ask you to let us know that you're able to see and hear us clearly, and that
Mhm,
you're watching live. Just let us know
mhm,
something in the comment. That
mhm,
would be helpful for us. And we're going to, unpack this. As if you've never been with us before, what we do is get questions from different people who write in questions on this platform, and I just take those questions because they're asked, and I respond. Sometimes we just take them here and talk about them. We don't have the full context of all that happens. All we know is what they wrote in, and but
mhm,
it's a benefit, because I think it helps you as a listener to hear how we bring in all aspects of the relationship
mhm.
into our conversation. So that really is a beautiful thing about it, because it doesn't limit us to just one thing that happens in relationships. So I really enjoy having to unpack this with Goumah. So I'm looking forward to this today. And so again, if you're watching live, would you just let us know if you're hearing us? Everything is fine. And if you have a question, please type that in. We've been more than happy to, if it's related to what we're talking about, we'll bring that up and talk more about that. And be happy to entertain that during our conversation today.
Mhm. I'm
Okay.
looking forward to that too. I love these questions. I think I
It
think
does.
I think they allow us to think about any given situation in multiple ways.
Yes.
So give us different perspectives on it. So that's good.
100%.
Mhm,
100%.
mhm.
Right. So the question we have on the table today is, this husband wrote in and he said, my wife prioritize prioritizes my family and duties more than me. What should I do to get a better time from my wife? And so, what is the first thing that comes to your mind, Goma, as you hear this man, this husband, stating this question? What is the first thing that comes to your mind as you hear this?
So he's saying his wife prioritizes the family. Can you put the
Yeah,
question up for me again? I know
oh
you
yeah,
had it
so
last week.
it's yeah, it
Uh-huh.
says my wife, I'm still gonna put it here.
My wife prioritizes my family. You
My
said.
His family, um so we can put this here
Mhm.
and show this.
Okay.
So
Okay.
that's a question right there.
My wife
And
prioritizes my
it's exactly how
family
he wrote it.
and duties. Wait, prioritizes my family and duties more than me. What should I do to get a better time away from time from my wife? Wow, that's an interesting one.
Mm.
You know, the first thing that's coming to my mind is what is what does their family dynamic look like?
Mhm.
You know, what does it look like? Meaning, do they have help? Do they have a support system?
Mhm.
Is the wife overwhelmed? Is how many kids do they have? And
Mhm.
she's very engaged with different activities for the kids, and then she's worn out. So there are a lot of things that are coming to mind
Mhm.
right off
Yeah.
the bat as I'm reading that.
Mhm.
And in terms of what should I do to get her attention, the first thing I'm thinking is maybe try taking her away from all of
Mm.
the noise. But
Mm.
again, we'll get more into that because that's the first thing I'm thinking. Try
Yeah.
to take her away from the noise and then see if she's able to be in the moment with you, if there aren't other underlying issues.
Yeah. That's important. You're right. Yeah. Um, the thing that of course, I think you and I would agree with this, because I think
Mhm.
for a husband, because most times wives are the one who initiate, counseling or seeking about the relationship. Many times, and this is just not true across the board, but I
Right.
find that it's the wife who is more relationship focused, right? So she would be more the one that is saying that, hey, what can I do? But here is a man, a husband, and not that husband don't do this thing, but I find that he is seeking out a way to connect closely to his wife. He wants that he's missing connection. He's missing, maybe he's feeling lonely. Maybe he's feeling like he's I'll give a quick example. I was with a client recently, and one of the things was presented, and it happened to be the husband, and he was basically talking about this idea, which I've heard many, many times over the many years in different ways, but it comes down to this, where they feel like they're the outsider, that there is this thing happening and they happen to be on the outside looking in, and they're not invited to the party. They're not invited in. And so they feel left out. And I wonder if he's feeling left out of something, because it sounds like she's putting her focus on his family for some reason, and the duties that I guess she has to perform as a wife or maybe as a mom, but we don't know if kids are involved here. But it sounds to me he's struggling with the idea of feeling as if he's not invited to the party and everything is happening. And some husband, like in this case I was explaining that this was presented, this husband felt like he was the provider, right? Main provider. And so he was seen as that. He was seen as a guy that was called upon to do things. But when it comes to being a part of it and feel as if he was part of the family, he felt like he felt left out, And I wonder if it's something that's what this husband is feeling.
It's possible, and when I'm hearing my family, I'm thinking his family of choice, not his family of origin. So I'm
hearing it as is his family that she is prioritizing. He said, my family. So I'm thinking it's her in-laws.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know. That's how I'm maybe I'm missing something. It said, my wife prioritizes my family
and duties.
I'm
thinking his household.
Okay. Oh, could be. Yeah, could be.
Yeah, my family and duties. I'm thinking his household.
Okay.
Yeah, and either way.
Yeah, we can speak to both ways.
Yeah, correct. I think your point still stands in terms of, he needs to be invested into, and he wants to feel part of whatever this system is, whether it's his family of choice or the family of origin.
That's good.
He wants to feel like a part of that system. At the end of the day, it comes down to the system, right?
Yeah.
Yes. And right. And whether we belong, whether we feel like we belong, or whether we feel lonely and isolated. And so maybe that's the pain and suffering there is the isolation, is feeling alone.
Yeah. And what I tend to see, and again, this is not a stereotypical statement is being made, but what I tend to see sometimes, some husband, if they begin to feel this way, will turn to different vices, right? They will say, okay, since my wife is not paying me attention and is not prioritizing me, and everything and everyone else comes first above me, I'm going to just do me, right? And just find other things. And sometimes it's, unfortunately, sometimes other relationship, because they're seeking attention. I've seen it so many times when I speak to some, it happens to both a wife and a husband. But I find that one of the reasons that they'll turn to other relationships, because they feel like they are not getting something that they need from their own spouse.
Yeah, that's correct. It happens, especially when we have loneliness. We know that loneliness is one of the predictors of affairs. It's one of the main reasons, actually, according to Esther Perez, which is one of our relationship, researchers. She says that one of the primary reasons that people have affairs is because they feel lonely within the relationship. So they may be there, but there's no friendship, there's no connecting, they're not bonding, they're not having, emotional intimacy. And so other things become attractive, or other people become attractive. So yeah, that happens.
Yeah. And I find that sometimes even somebody who might be listening right now might find themselves in this very situation where they feel alone, feel lonely in their relationship, right? Whether it's a man or husband or a wife. And they're trying to, I think the idea they're competing with all these other things, right? So they feel like they're competing. And so they're now I guess in protest, we talked about before, in
Mm-hmm.
protest, they could actually become like, he could become very ugly, right? He could, in some
Mm-hmm.
cases, some husband can place demands on the relationship, or will put ultimatums and will say, and that I can't deal with this. I've heard that many times from a spouse who said, I just can't take it anymore, Kingsley. I just don't know what else to do, and I'm not going to tolerate this anymore. And they put this ultimatum on, and if
Mm-hmm.
that other person don't see the need or the urgency to change, this could be to lead to a unfortunate situation where this relationship may not last.
That's correct. It really could be. I mean, when people feel, again, when people feel lonely, they start to think about other ways to occupy themselves. So
Mm,
it's true. It's true.
mhm,
This could go to where somebody ends up leaving, or somebody says, "I'm not
mhm,
going to do this anymore." Um,
mm,
you know,
mhm.
again, I've seen this scenario so many times that when
Yeah.
I'm reading into it, and and the husband is saying somebody else is being prioritized over me,
Mhm.
um, I normally would say try to step away from the noise
Yeah.
and see if we all can connect there first.
Mhm,
Remove
mhm,
the noise. If it's kids, get it somewhere to go for maybe a night or a weekend, just you and your wife. Take her away from that and see. If it's your
mhm,
in-laws, talk to her about what it means for her to spend a little bit more time with you, because you know that she loves your family and she wants to serve them, or she wants to be
mhm,
engaged with them, but at the same time you just want to feel her presence also. So how could
mhm,
she give you a little bit more time?
mhm.
Those kinds of things, taking the first steps before you jump to the next step.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Do you find also that maybe why she is doing this? My curiosity, antenna rises. Why would she then feel the need to prioritize family and duties above him? And I wonder if it's not her also a way of protesting the relationship and simply saying something she's not getting. And so we find sometimes where this whole triangulation happens, where a one spouse will find a way to use something else to meet needs, right? Maybe it's not sexual in nature, but emotional. Maybe feeling a sense of belonging, a feeling of a sense of purpose. I was talking to someone who talked about this very thing in their relationship, where they said their partner does what they do because it gives them a sense of what did he say, validation, as if they're it's external validation. They feel special, and they
Mm-hmm.
want everyone to think of them a certain way, and they don't want to let those people down. So they're trying to preserve that reputation, for example. And so
Mm-hmm.
my thing is like, I wonder why this wife would feel the need that she would seemingly, based upon the husband, make him less of a priority and everything and everyone else a priority. Why would she even get to that place?
Many reasons. Again, it could be that she maybe doesn't even realize that she's not prioritizing him. She would just be involved. Like, again, I'm saying, I'm going to take this from the perspective of the kids
Hmm.
and the home. She could be so engulfed in the home and the children and the day-to-day runnings that she's just trying, she's just floating, and she's not really being mindful that he's not being the priority.
Hmm.
The other side to this could be that maybe for a long time she was pursuing him and he wasn't really giving her the attention, and now she has made the kids her focus.
Hmm. That's
Right?
good. Yeah.
That
Yes.
happens too, where
Yes.
people turn to their children instead of trying to solve the problem. They turn to their children to fill that void, and
Hmm.
once that void gets filled, they don't really notice what else is happening around them.
Yes, that's a very good point, because I find that sometimes that turn into, say, in this case, family and children and the duties,
Mm-hmm.
because she may feel like, at least appreciated there, or I feel
Mm-hmm.
like what I do is seen
Mm-hmm.
and acknowledged,
Mm-hmm.
because, if her kid said, thank you, mommy, and mommy, I love you, mommy, because
Mm-hmm.
of they feel this idea of mommy paying attention to them.
Mm-hmm.
That's a need that she may have seeking to meet, because maybe she having, like you said so well, trying for the longest to get that from her husband,
Mm-hmm.
and feel like I'm unappreciated. um uh, Nothing is met with gratitude, and she
Mm-hmm.
gets to a point where she feel like, what, why even bother, why not turn my attention to, it doesn't make it right, but I can understand why she may get to the point where she now said, what, I've tried long and hard, and I
Mm-hmm.
don't get from my husband what I'm looking for. And so
Mm-hmm.
why even put more effort there? Why not give it to a place where she feels she'll get that feedback,
Mm-hmm.
that she's looking for. So I could see how she may have ended up at this place. Again, doesn't make it right, but I could understand,
Yep.
because she is, again, trying to communicate something through her, the actions and the decisions she's made to turn her attention there.
Correct. Correct. I agree. I can absolutely see how that could easily happen.
Hmm.
And again, this is why these things we have to address them early, because it's easy for someone to get absorbed
Hmm.
into someone who's genuinely, or a group of people who are genuinely interested in them. It's
Yeah.
easy, right? If I'm trying to talk to my partner over and over and over and nothing is happening, it's easy for me to turn to my kids because they're going to hear me. I can hear them, they can hear me. We all want to be validated, we all want to be heard and seen.
Hmm. Hmm. And like I said earlier, I think I could see how it could set this up where, say, she'd never had a family or some kids, she could turn to outside and find someone who validates her and show her appreciation and acknowledges her. And this is where we know the whole affair thing start many times, because
Mm-hmm.
I find somebody who, and we'll hear this, he or she listens to me. My wife, my husband doesn't listen to me. He or she makes me feel special. He or she
Mm-hmm.
makes me feel seen, where
Mm-hmm.
I don't get that from my relationship. And sometimes that is where a person now turn to something else or someone else, like you said just now.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I think the thing is where I go back to the husband. He said, what should I do to get a better time from my wife? And so I'm also curious to say, well, like you described, I think you made a good point. You could take her away from the noise and try to have both him and her, just to be by themselves.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder though also, how is he communicating to her that he is feeling this way? Wonder what she's hearing from him, because
Mm-hmm.
he could have been behaving in a manner where it doesn't feel even um like she wants to even be in his presence, maybe the way he's communicating his needs. Because I would say he needs to do some curiosity questions. I would say he need to make some observation statements. So, honey, I observe, what I've noticed is that you tend to spend so much time with everyone else, and not you, but I feel lonely, I miss you.
Mm-hmm.
Something to appeal to her, to make her know that he notices, he wants her, he cares for her.
Mm-hmm.
you know I think that would be a place also, that in getting away, I think it's great. I think it's also a way, in addition, making some observation statements. Have you been noticing, and what does that do to him, or what is his pain from that?
Mm-hmm. I agree with that. I agree with that 100%. I think I'm a little bit more careful, because if you all live in the same home and you're telling me that your partner is not really giving you the time of the day, so to speak, um I always like to suggest a neutral place to start. You can
Yeah.
ask that question. I think the question is a good question.
Yeah.
You could even do it over, you again, when I say get away, it could be something as simple as, let's go down and get something to eat,
Yes.
you know,
Yes.
and
Yes.
just sit down, remove the person from
Yeah.
the place of tension.
Yeah.
Um, Two things will happen there. One is, if she really just is not noticing that he's not getting the time he needs, she may just say, "Oh, I didn't realize it.
Right.
Let's do more of this. Maybe I get so caught up that I don't really know
Yeah.
what's going on. Let's do more of this."
Good.
Right?
Yeah.
Or if she's doing it intentionally, when he invites her out, she might outrightly say no.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then he would now be able to leave from a place of curiosity and say,
Hmm.
"What is really going on between us, and what can I do to help to repair this?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's wisdom, because I agree that setting up a I would call it an emotionally safe space, which is a neutral space, right? How do you get to that place where at least she feels, because she may not trust the fact that he is going to handle it well, and so he had to reassure her that this is what he's all. Its only purpose in doing this is for them to connect, is then for them to kind of renew their relationship, because she may not trust the fact that when he invites her to that, like you said earlier, she may say, well, no, because maybe what the history of the relationship where they tried to talk about certain things, or maybe she have tried to talk to him about what she had been needing, and he have either dismissed her and not paid her an attention, and now she feel like, okay, well, now you know what I went through. Now, I mean, it doesn't make it right, but I can see how a person may say, well, you know how I felt, because now you know how I felt when I was trying to get your attention, trying to let you know these things, but you just didn't pay me any mind, because he may have been busy with his own life, maybe work and all the different things, and got so wrapped up in that that he didn't even notice that she was drifting away from him.
Correct.
And possibly making this request of him, and he may have been so busy and ignored and pushed it aside, and that didn't realize she was drifting further and further apart until just now.
Correct. That's correct. These things happen. It's easy, and this is why, Kingsley, we always say do things to connect with your partner on a daily basis.
Yeah.
And if not daily, because some people are just really, really busy,
Right.
then do it weekly.
Yes.
But because it's very easy for couples to drift apart.
100%.
100%. If we're not doing anything mindfully to be able to make sure that we are prioritizing, let's use his word, prioritizing. If we're not prioritizing that relationship, then it's easy for things to fall apart. But if we prioritize the relationship, then we are constantly checking in. We're in tune with each other. And when something begins to dissipate, we know how to call the other person's attention right away and say, let's stop and let's do an activity. Let's pause and let's connect. Let's do XYZ. But sometimes couples get so busy in the day-to-day that they easily lose track of each other.
Yeah. And I think that's really spot on. One of the things I really recognize in my own marriage, for in the early stages, I was so busy just doing everything and, doing good things, right? Because at the time I was very involved in the church. I was doing a lot of good things that I felt that God had wanted me to do. And in my busyness of that, I didn't even realize sometimes what was happening with my wife, and how she really had to turn it into the kids, really to basically meet some needs because I wasn't there. I was just so busy and oblivious at times to certain things, never even crossed my mind to think that way. But as I began, over the many years, I've learned along the way that, wait a minute, Kingsley, are you stopping to think about this or this in our relationship? And I remember several years now, it's been many, many years now, that we came to a place of saying, we need to find a way to make our relationship a priority. And one of those ways that we have done that and still do today is we had to figure out a way, how do we create a space where, as you described so well, where it's just us, and so we would find times to get away, and then we ended up with a regular date night. And we talked about that in our last video, but some people may not be every week, it may be every other week or whatever works for you. But the point is that you have to have, as I'm hearing you're saying, is create something. So for me, my relationship knows that every Friday, and it's interesting, this past Friday, someone had asked me about doing something at a certain time. And I was so happy to say, I'm sorry. But they said, can we meet at 5 p.m.? I said, I'm sorry. That is our date appointment that we have every Friday. It's set on the calendar. And so I was able to make that a priority, that if you want me to do something, make sure it's done at another time. But I think it's really has taken me a long time to get here where I'm so confident. And I think that's not what I'm looking for here, but I feel so strong about this, where every weekend, without any question, every Friday, unless something happens, where our date night is set, right? And we do different things. Most times, most times it's going out to eat, which makes me,
Yep.
gain some weight. But I go to the gym every day, so try to work that off. But
Right.
and then we try to get away sometimes because again, it's making the relationship a priority. I didn't always do this, and I realized that how important that is, especially for us men. I can speak for men and for what I know of many men, we can be very oblivious of this and not
Yes.
realize that we're missing out on, and our wife is trying to get our attention because my wife tried in different ways, but I just didn't. I was just not. I was naive. I was just really not even seeing the things she's saying to me until I finally saw it and said, "Oh, okay, this is what she's talking about."
And I love the point you made, Kingsley, which is you were busy doing the right
Yeah,
things.
yeah,
I love that statement because I think that's where I know you see it in your practice. I see it in my practice where a lot of men miss the mark
yeah,
because they feel like I'm out here producing, I'm out here working for the home, I'm out here providing for the home, So she needs to just get with the program and understand what's happening and meet my needs,
yes.
right?
You're spot on.
And they forget that you're doing all those things, but the truth is when you first got married
Yeah.
and you first met this person, you were meeting all her emotional needs,
Yes.
and now you've abandoned the emotional needs to meet the other needs, which are
Yeah.
important but not the most important.
Yeah.
Because part of what I've found, I think we don't talk about this enough, is for most women, if you can really meet their emotional needs, they talk about ride or die.
Hmm.
Except the ones who have other things going on in their lives that you just can't please or satisfy, that's different.
Hmm. Yeah.
But the ones who are well and they're healthy emotionally and they just want their marriage, they will ride or die with you no matter how up or down you go.
Hmm. Hmm.
If
Hmm.
you're meeting those, the emotional needs. But if you're always absent, you're not connecting, you're just focusing on the money and the business and the deals, then it's very difficult when you go to those rough times. It's hard for them to sit with you through it.
Hmm. 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 So I have a question, and I'm glad you bring this up because I'm just curious to see, and I think I have an idea, but I was supposed to hear through your filter. Why is it that a woman feels why the emotional needs being met is so high um, on her list?
Mhm. Because it says that she's the most important thing to you.
Okay. Mm.
That's what it comes down to.
Mm.
Am I the most important thing to you? Am I worth you dropping everything for?
Mm.
And if you can answer those questions for her by your presence or with your presence, that's really it.
Okay. That's good. That's good.
Mhm.
So yeah, and I think like for us guys, I think that it's something very similar. It's just a different path we take. So what I find for most times is I want to know that you support me, you have my back, that you. So we may not say it's emotional, but we just want to know that you support me, that you believe in me, that you
Mhm.
have my back. If I know those things, then
Mhm.
that tells me that you're there. I can count
Mhm.
on you.
Mhm.
So I think it's similar. It's a different kind of way
Yeah.
of framing it, I think.
It's true. In fact, I said to someone the other day, I can't remember where I said it, but it was a couple, and I said to them, men want to know, they love, I said, men love when their wives are proud of their career.
Yes. Yes.
They
Yes.
love it. You
Yes.
know, whatever he does, it doesn't
Yeah.
matter. If she
Yeah.
is proud of it, he feels great about himself,
It's
right?
our ego at play. As
Yeah.
our ego. So let's get to it. It's our ego.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yes.
I love it.
We love to have
But
our ego scratched. And when
like,
she does that, it
correct.
scratches our ego. Go on, baby. Just do more of
Yeah,
that.
exactly. What do you want? Exactly.
Yes. That's what it is for us.
Yes, so
Yeah.
it's the same thing. It's just like you said, it's coming in different packages, right?
Mhm.
For her, that says she is your priority. She's number
Mhm.
one. Nothing else matters in the world. And for you, it says, okay. You see me.
Mm-hmm.
You see me.
Mm-hmm.
Right? At the end of the day, it comes down to the same thing.
Yeah.
What all of me matters to you.
Yeah. And so maybe this husband here, I think what you just said is so important. And I'm glad I asked the question because he may need to realize that she may need to hear something that has to do with possibly may he have missed the mark. Maybe he failed to have met her emotional needs and she's turned
Mhm,
elsewhere now.
mhm,
And so, like you said, getting away and creating that safe space, I think is so true. And
mhm,
these are some of the things that I believe that he could probably talk about and in curious questions, or
yes,
just to see and I even initiate sometimes, maybe say, hey, I've noticed this, and could this be the thing? Because I think you provided some very important insights that he listening in, if he was listening in right now, could say, okay, I could probably see how I may have missed the mark here, and I may need to go back and revisit this with my wife. And so we would say, to your question, what should I do to get a better time from her? I think you have heard the many suggestions, but I think
mhm,
what Gomez said to start with that is to kind of get her away from the noise. I agree,
mhm,
and that may be the first place to start, and then
mhm,
do the curious questions and so on.
mhm.
Maybe that can come afterwards.
Yeah, and just say those words to her. I truly realize that I have not made you feel that you're the
Mhm.
most important person in my life.
That's good.
That in itself is healing.
Yeah, because if she could hear sometimes those words from her husband, and that he recognizes and take responsibility, and for that, that's what she probably is longing to hear.
Correct.
Longing to hear,
Correct.
and think. So I think those are some great suggestions as we kind of come into to wrapping things up here. I believe that you've given him. He's heard in this. I think what we have kind of covered here, so many different topics, but I think
Mhm,
he can find inside of this what the answer to his question, what should I do to get a better time from my wife? I
mhm.
think these are some things that we would suggest, and see what happens in that relationship.
Yes, and I do want to say, you said it earlier. It's important for us to acknowledge that, normally we get these questions from women, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah,
so it was nice to see one come from a man
yes,
looking to improve his relationship, at least being concerned.
yeah, because
Um,
that's right. Yeah,
yeah, so that's really wonderful. So kudos to this guy who sent this here.
I agree 100%. I had to really think that's really for him to have done that. I think it says a lot that he really
Yeah,
wants to, and maybe he's just coming to terms like, wait a minute, you know what? I really want my relationship more than
yeah,
anything else, and I'm just
yeah.
recognizing this. So what
That's
can I
right.
do? Wow, great.
That's right. That's right.
So this having another great session here, broadcast,
Yeah,
Goumah. And
yeah.
then, so for people who may want to know more about how to contact you and how to reach, again, can you provide that with them? And I also provide my own contact as well too.
Yes, I'm on Facebook. You can find me right here, either on Your Marriage Village or just search my name, Goumah Conde, as you see there. My name is there. You can follow me there. Either way is fine. On Instagram, Your Marriage Village. All over the place, Your Marriage Village. And that's it.
Awesome. And so of course, and Goumah is a licensed marriage and family therapist, and so she also do presentations as well. So you may want to
Mhm,
reach out to her. And for
mhm.
me is at Kingsley Grant, and you can find me on all my social media. So I would recommend, if you have any questions, we'd love to hear from you. So you could ask questions on, as Goumah mentioned, Facebook. For me, it could be Instagram. You could DM me, or even where you're watching this right here, you could
Mhm.
answer, just put a question in there
Sure.
and let us know your thoughts. And we again said thank you for those of you who are here live. If you're watching a replay of this, again, thank you for taking the time to watch a replay. You can also add your questions, and we'll be happy to respond as we see them come across our platforms.
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely. Yeah, this
So
has been
that's
wonderful. I love
it's,
this
I
question.
love it. I love it. I think it just gives a chance to go to expand and cover so many different
Mhm.
parts of
Yes,
relationships. And I really
yes.
enjoy the different angles from which we
Mhm,
come. I think it's,
mhm.
to me, I love it this way because it gives us freedom
Yes,
to talk about different topics that we know
yes.
many couples deal with from time to time. So
I agree.
with that said, we're going to be here again next Monday at 6 p.m. And unless something happens, but we're planning to be here. And we'll be, of course, broadcasting what we'll be talking about. And so pay attention to that.
Mhm.
Make sure that you keep in contact and follow us so you can be privy to this upcoming, our next talk. So with that said, I want to say thank you for being here. God bless you. And we'll see you next time at 6 p.m., same time, same place. So God bless you. See you then.
See you soon, Kingsley.
Bye-bye.
Bye.